verify that I'm a U.S. citizen, okay? And so they need me to bring a passport or something like that to prove I'm a U.S. citizen, because otherwise they're going to cancel my driver's license. Because in my criminal complaint, I put in there, I'm not one of your low-life scumbag U.S. citizens. You see what I'm saying? So cancel the thing, I don't care. I guess I copied this off of my hard drive, so I'll bet you something happened with that, and that's why it didn't show up. Anyways, and so that's what, this all was precipitated from the car accident that I had, and then Nelson's traffic stop. My son Nelson used to drive that truck. It was a Dodge 4x4, and a black one, a 97. And he used to, you know, he's a teenager, rods around, does all that stuff. And like here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we lived here for a couple of years, and he would get phone calls, or not phone calls, he'd get stopped by the cops every once in a while. You know, I mean, man, he used up so many tires in that thing. He was always spilling the tires, I'm sure. But anyways, he'd get stopped by the cops, and they'd always ask him, who owns this truck? And he'd say, oh, my dad does. Never give him a ticket. Never give him a ticket. I'm telling you, this stuff is really powerful. You have no idea, you know. So they were worried about locking horns with me, I think. Anyways, in July of 2010, the city of Lethbridge stopped me and gave their straw man a ticket for no driver's license. There's no requirement in Alberta for a living soul to get a driver's license. I filed 3 criminal complaints against them. Those are all in the lawsuit up there. And then I filed a petition of right with the criminal complaints attached. The perjurer on the bench entered a plea for their straw man and set it down for trial. I told them in my criminal complaints, I do not take orders from criminals. I do not appear for your show trial. And I didn't. And they convicted their straw man, and the fine was $172, and I can show you that's all in my briefcase. That's out in my truck. I'd have to go bring that in. But I can show you that and pass it around if you want to say it. Anyways, it was the same as what was on the ticket. And I called up the clerk and asked if they'd issued a warrant, and they said no. And they said it would be handled by motor vehicle department. In other words, their only remedy in Alberta is that if you want to renew the straw man's driver's license or get vehicle registration for the straw man, they make you pay the fine before they'll let you do that. Well, I don't want their driver's license and I don't want their registration, so whoop-de-doo, you know. That's it. That's all they do. And so that's okay with me. If you read the bottom of the citation, it says if you fail to respond, to this offense notice as required by law by the appearance date indicated above, or if you plead not guilty and fail to appear in person or by agent on your trial date, you will be deemed not to dispute the charge, and you may be convicted of the offense in your absence without a hearing. If you're convicted until the fine plus any late payment charges are paid in full, you will not be allowed to obtain or renew a driver's license or motor vehicle license. Well, whoop-de-doo. Gee, that just breaks me all up. And actually, I got stopped 3 times in Alberta. The second time I got stopped was by a Calgary police, and that's when I told them that look, if you're going to violate my rights, then you better be prepared to go all the way and take me over there and blow my brains out, because by the time I'm done with you, you're going to wish you did, and I'll do it all within the law. And we actually talked for quite a while. I showed him my photo ID affidavit, which is up there, and that's all I gave him. I didn't give him a driver's license, and he asked for registration insurance. I says, well, I might have, but have you got a court order? And he says, no. And he says, but if you don't give it to me, I'll seize your truck. And I said, well, you have a gun, so you might be able to do that, but you need to be prepared if you're going to violate my rights to take me over there and blow my brains out, because by the time I'm done with you, you're going to wish you did. And he never seized my truck too, by the way. Anyways, it went back and forth. You know, after the first couple of minutes, there was like 3 cops cars there. The first time when I got stopped in Lethbridge, all these cars were there and they had their cherries going and these cops running around, and all the cops came up and talked to me and all this, and so I was sitting there making notes of names and stuff like that. So all their names were in the criminal complaints, right? Well, the second time in Calgary, the only cop that came to talk to me was the guy that stopped me in the first place, right? And his supervisors wouldn't even come anywhere near me, but I saw him parked over in these different places around, and so every once in a while he'd take my stuff and go back and talk to his boss and then come back up, and no cherries. There was no cherries anywhere. I'm telling you, it's a learning curve, you know. You got to train them, you know. Anyways, so what happened ultimately is I told him, I says, under your statutes, I'm not required to have a driver's license or any of this stuff. I said, it's all for corporations. And I was just coming back from a private information share I'd done in Kelowna. And so what happened is I had all of this stuff in the back of my truck. And so I pulled it out and I started showing him the PowerPoint slides about the Alberta statutes and stuff like that. And I said, here, in your Traffic Safety Act, it's a person that's required to do it. And here, in your Interpretation Act, it's a person's a corporation. I said, it's not me. And he took that back to his supervisor. And then in a few minutes, he came back with my paperwork and he says, you're free to go. Have a nice day. And that was the end of it. And then another time I got stopped, it was by an Alberta sheriff on Highway 2, which is a big freeway in Alberta. And what happened is that guy was under stress, eh? And I was trying to tell him about the stuff I'd served, and he said, I don't care, because I'd served a bunch of stuff on his boss, right? He says, I don't care. And then I said, well, your statutes say that only corporations, I don't care. And so it turned into a shouting match. You know, we were yelling at each other. And that's when I started making notes. And I said, if you're going to violate my rights, then you just better take me over there and blow my brains out, because by the time I'm done with you, you're going to wish you did. And I'll do it all within the law. And then he said, no thanks. And all he got was my photo ID affidavit. And he went and he asked me, is that the correct address? Yeah. And the address on there is non-existent anymore, quite frankly, but I don't care. He didn't care. Why should I care? Anyways, so then he went and made up a ticket and gave it to me, and I was writing down his name and everything I could get anyways, and date and time. And then I went and filed a criminal complaint against him, and I sent it to the Queen. So I'll bet you that he's not even working for him now. I don't know. But I never got stopped after that, so maybe they put me in their database or something, you know, leave this guy alone. At that point, I knew that they already had me in their database, because he stopped me and he was, you know, kind of belligerent right off the bat. You know what I mean? And because in my paperwork, what I did with the Lethbridge police is I told them, I said, as long as they honor their oath of office, I have no idea what they get paid, but in my opinion, it's not enough. He said, but when they perjure their oath of office, they get the well-deserved title of pig. And then I said, the pigs did this, the pigs did that, the pigs did this. You know, in my criminal complaint. So you know, what happened is when I got stopped in Calgary, they told me, they said, first of all, I told them, I don't want you to take this personal. You know, I want you to know that I appreciate the work you do. As long as you honor your oath of office, I have no idea what you get paid. In my opinion, it's not enough. But you know, if you don't honor your oath of office, then we're going to have a problem. Essentially, is what I said. Anyways, when he ultimately let me go, he said, I appreciate your comments about appreciating the work we do, because you know, I've been working here for 12 years and all that other stuff. You know, you see what I'm saying? So I mean, that's an important thing. Is tell them that you appreciate the work they do. I mean, we do need people to hunt down murderers and thieves. And I know I couldn't do that, okay? And so I appreciate the work they do as far as that's concerned. It's just they need to know where it ends, where their authority ends. That's what they need to know. And that's part of what we need to do as we the people, is educate them about that. You know, that's our duty. And once we do, you know, word travels fast. It's amazing how that'll work. And so, anyways, as far as the Alberta stuff, what the ticket says and all the rest of it, and their remedy is just proof that it's no more than a commercial transaction, and they don't have any authority, and they know it. Anyways, I got to hit the restroom real quick. Why don't we take a little short 5-minute break? There are at least 2 and possibly more classes of citizenship in all common law countries, and the government has made perfectly good laws that are technically correct 99% of the time. Because we have all given our servants, the government, the right to presume certain things, the burden's on us now to defeat those presumptions. The best way to defeat any presumption is to go on the attack. Presumptions are taken in martial law. The fact they're presuming anything is proof that you're in a martial law jurisdiction, and they have no authority. Right now, we've provided the government with reason to believe we're not sovereign. The government is operating on that assumption based on prima facie evidence that we ourselves provided. We have to build a prima facie case that is admissible as evidence in court that we are sovereign. In today's world, in order to be truly sovereign, you must be prepared to force the issue up to and including court. In Rome, they had slaves because they were not prepared to live free or die. In the modern world, you do not have to die for your freedom, but the attitude helps. So, number one rule is educate yourself. We're in this position because our parents and our grandparents did not understand the issues. Study out the issues. Most lawyers do not understand the law. You cannot expect a lawyer to be involved in this. They will get disbarred if they did. According to former Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, Earl Warren, 75 to 90% of all trial lawyers are either incompetent, dishonest, or both. All lawyers are also officers of the court. When you have an officer of the court representing you in court, you've turned yourself into a ward of the court. And a ward of the court's an imbecile. The ultimate responsibility rests with you. If you have, see that thing about the belligerent claimant, remember it said you cannot have a lawyer claim your rights for you. You know why? Because if you hire a lawyer, you're saying, I am incompetent. So if you're incompetent, you can't assert those rights because by definition, you're incompetent. You're not competent to assert them. Anyways, the ultimate responsibility rests with you. You must accept responsibility for your own actions. You must prepare for your future. Sovereign citizens receive nothing from the government. If you do nothing, then you're at least partially responsible when they violate the next guy's rights. And that's the big reason why I do stuff, okay? Because if they violate my rights, it's not your responsibility to protect my rights, okay? It's mine. And when they violate my rights, I'm the one that's damaged. I'm the one that has to complain. And if I don't, then I'm responsible when they violate the next guy's rights. So I have to complain. It's my duty. All it takes for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing. And then, if you think about it, are they really good? If they're doing nothing, are they really good? The important thing is do something. It's not necessarily to use these documents the way they are. Make up your own if you want to. The following process builds a track record and a case showing your assertion and it's admissible as evidence in court. They already know you're sovereign. You just have to assert it. This procedure builds a case against your public servants for multiple felonies. They will never do anything that comes close to admitting that they've committed multiple felonies. If this procedure is done properly, the system will take care of your problem for you. You will rarely get a response. You have to learn to read between the lines if they do send you a response. If they do not send you a response, then they've acquiesced. I developed a system through this foreclosure that I had in Arizona and the subsequent disturbing the peace, and I have sent out hundreds of registered letters. It's a notice and demand, okay? It's called a notice and demand, okay? If you look on the document, notice is common law. You're giving them notice.